Hello, welcome to the Time Expansion Project, Episode 5. I'm John K. Coyle, and as always, we will dig into the neuroscience and psychology of time perception and very prescriptively give you a recipe to slow, stop, and reverse the perceived acceleration of time that most adults feel and experience the endless summers of youth again. The last episode was a little bit controversial. I think people didn't actually watch it. They just looked at the headline, which was Why Your Life is Half Over at 40 years old. I don't mean that your value of your life is over, that your ability to impact others, your financial means, your network, all of these things, your wisdom have all grown to age 40, and actually your opportunity to impact others and have a full, rich life at age 40 is greater than it probably ever was. However, what we also know is that 98% of adults feel that time accelerates the older you get. So I'm talking about perceived time, not impact, not all of these other variables. And for most adults, as time accelerates the older they get, it starts to feel like a decade in middle age, what used to feel like a year at age 20, which used to feel like a summer at age 8. And what we've been talking about in the last episode is how do we reverse that curve and start to experience summers as long or longer than when we were in youth. So I'm going to reverse that curve, and I'm going to show you how in 3 metaphors. So episode 5 is the law of contraction. Episode 6 will be the law of inversion, and episode 7, the most important, is the law of expansion. So let's talk about the first law of experiential time, or time expansion. This is the law of contraction. This is the notion that time as we experience it, the older we get, will accelerate. And the metaphor here that we'll use is that they always use time as a river. Well, let's use a garden hose, a fixed flow of water through a garden hose. So a fixed flow of water through a garden hose, the speed of the exit of that water is directly proportional to the aperture. And the aperture base times height. So put your thumb over the end of the hose, well, the water speeds up. You put a nozzle and shrink it, it speeds up. Our brains are squeezing time. Your brain and my brain are squeezing time right now, causing it to speed up. And why is this happening? Well, let's think about the brain of an 8-year-old. So for the brain of an 8-year-old, let's use for the aperture for time, as it were, breadth of experience, base times height, depth of experience emotionally. Now think about it. 8-year-olds, summers last forever. Why is that? Well, everything is new, right? First time to the mountains, first time seeing snow, first baseball game, first football game, first crush, and emotionally, first win, first kiss, first loss, right? 8-year-olds have incredible range of emotions, and they have all kinds of new experiences. And so, they cry a lot. And so their breadth of experience is wide open, their depth of emotional experience is wide open, and time trickles through, and summers last forever. Okay, so now you're 20-something, and maybe you're in college or you've got your first job, and you still have a lot of unique experiences, but not the same level as an 8-year-old. And, you don't want to be chosen for the losing team. You choose your friends that are nice to you, and so you start to refine. Your breadth of experience starts to shrink, and your depth of experience also begins to attenuate. And because you don't want to cry a lot, suddenly your aperture for time starts to squeeze in, and time starts to speed up. It's around this age that most people experience this acceleration of time. And finally, we have sort of middle age. And for those viewers out there, I'm sure this is none of you, but a lot of people I know, particularly in corporate America, they go to the same job, same location, same places for lunch, same co-workers, and they go to the same places for vacation, and with the gauze of Advil, Paxil, air conditioning, life is super safe, super comfortable, but their aperture for time, given the lack of uniqueness and the safety they've created, speeds up. And a summer as a 40 or 50-something starts to feel like a year as a 20-something, starts to feel like a summer as an 8-year-old. Now, around age 30, people sort of figure this out, and they're like, all right, I got to do something different. Let's sign up for a triathlon. Let's play pickleball. Let's sign up for voice lessons. Let me take a class. Let me pick up the cello. And so they try all these new activities, and that's good because it's expanding the breadth of experience, but it's not expanding the emotional depth. You can't really fail at Toastmasters. You can't really fail at taking voice lessons. You can't really fail at a triathlon. And so it doesn't really do a lot to expand time. And so how do we take this law in our favor? Well, we have to sort of live lives like an 8-year-old, right? We need to expand the breadth and depth of our experiences. And so how do we do that? Well, we need to not just race a triathlon, but care about winning. Or don't just sign up for Toastmasters. Sign up to do a TED Talk. Don't just sign up to take a class. Teach one, right? Don't just take lessons. Perform, and never go to the same place on vacation. The first time I was ever really describing this law of time expansion, I was hiking up a mountain in Monterrey, Mexico with a friend of mine, Amalia. And as I was getting to this part about, taking these risks, she stopped short. She said, "Oh no, you're going to make me do it, aren't you?" And I said, "Make you do what?" She goes, "I literally got invited yesterday to sing in front of 10,000 people at a festival." And I told them no, because I haven't sang in many years and I just don't know if my voice is there and it would seem too risky. And I'm like, "Oh, you have to do it. You have to do it. In fact, I want you to call them right now and tell them you're going to do it." And she looked at me frowning and she's like, "Fine." So she gets out her phone. She calls in, they answer. She says she's going to do it. I'm so excited for her. She had 6 weeks to prepare for this big event. And then she called me 4 weeks later in tears, very mad at me, saying, "This is going to be terrible. I'm not ready. My voice isn't what it used to be. I'm going to be laughed off stage. I can't believe you made me do this. I'm going to be embarrassed." And then she called me 2 weeks later in tears saying, "Today was one of the best days of my adult life. I killed it. I had a standing ovation. I had to sing an extra song. This was unbelievable." And the other thing that's true is the last 6 weeks have been the longest 6 weeks of my adult life. How do you know if you're doing it right? If you're not experiencing life like an 8-year-old where you're willing to cry over the outcome of whatever this new experience you've taken on, then you won't slow down time. But if you're willing to take the risks for the rewards, I promise you that this will slow down time. Please subscribe button over there, and please follow to the next episode. And I would love your comments and thoughts for future episodes.